It's supposed to be a mirror image.
We can start over if you want.
Can we Oh, we're live!
Nah.
Crap.
Happens all the time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. We are live. I'm your host, Matt Dillon. Joining me this week, Martin Wagner.
Howdy.
We're trying to get better about taking more calls as quick as they come in for the most part.
That's the truth.
David, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I think everybody has a belief in what happens to us after we die, because I don't think any of us have any certain knowledge or absolute knowledge of what happens when we die. So consequently, whatever we choose to believe in, it is going to be a belief. We can assert that we go to nothing and life's a one-time journey, so embrace it for all you have, or we can assert that we reincarnate, or we can even assert things like heaven and hell, but it's all a belief.
Well,
go ahead.
I disagree on 2 points. One, I don't think that everybody necessarily has a belief. There may be some people who haven't committed to any view. They just simply say, I have no idea what happens, and there's not enough evidence for any of it. But in much the same way that we don't assume existence. We don't assume that everything exists until there's good evidence to believe it doesn't. We actually do the inverse. We believe that nothing exists until there's evidence that actually demonstrates it. We do this because if we did the opposite, we'd believing in everything. So my position is until there's evidence to show what happens after death. I know I have this life. I don't know what happens afterwards. I think, based on all the evidence, that I'm going to rot in the ground and I will cease to be in any sense that matters or in any sense that is individual to me. It may not be the case, don't know. But in determining how to live my life, I'm certainly not going to live it as if I believe in, afterlife X, when I have no reason and no way to distinguish afterlife X from afterlife A through W.
And I think another risk that you run into if you want to take this sort of approach of, no one knows, which is true. I mean, fundamentally what you're saying is essentially right. But this can lead you down the primrose path, if you're not careful, to what's called postmodernism, where people sort of take this idea that, either all beliefs are equally valid, or another one is the one that kind of leads you in the direction of Pascal's wager too, which is to say, since no one knows, you can either die and just rot in the ground, or you can die and go to this wonderful paradise afterlife. So why not just embrace the belief that's happier, or that makes you feel better, or that is the more attractive one? Which would you rather? And I think that starts getting you into dangerous waters. Where you are just not really having rational bases for what you choose to believe. And now, whenever people ask me about an afterlife, I always like to say, hey, I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it. I'll be first in line if I know that there's something like that is waiting for me, but I don't know. And as Matt has said, I don't think it's intellectually honest to do this I'm going to hedge my bets approach to deciding what you want to believe, and I also don't think it's emotionally healthy. And I think as a practical person and as a rational person, I can say, here's the thing, I'm just going to make the best of this life because at least I know I have this one. And without anyone actually having the benefit of having come back from the dead to tell us, it's all great and I got pictures, then you don't want to fall into the easy, comfortable trap of just, this sounds good. This reinforces is some sort of emotional comfort, or it helps me, stick a Band-Aid on an insecurity that I have. So I'll believe it for that reason.
But quickly to touch on one thing that Martin said, and then I'll let you respond, I promise. Kind of to touch on the postmodernist thing, the thing that you almost seem to be implying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, was that when you said that, we all have some belief. Well, that doesn't mean that they're all equally supported by evidence. If there's two possibilities, one is something that is me continues after I'm dead, and the other possibility, of course, is that it doesn't. That doesn't mean that the truth lies somewhere in between. There should be some way, hopefully, to figure out which is more likely. And while evidence or absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, is the common phrase, it actually is in the cases where we would expect to find evidence. I mean, if you tell me that you've got a cat in your trunk, and I open the trunk and I search it, and I don't find a cat, all of a sudden it's less likely that there's a cat in there. And if I dig around a little bit more and pull up the carpet and look in where the spare tire is, and I still don't find a cat, all of a sudden it's less likely there's a cat in there. And if I bring in, measuring devices and heat sensors, and I completely scour every centimeter of your trunk, all of a sudden it becomes really unlikely that you got a cat in there. And if the response is, well, it's invisible and intangible, all of a sudden you've lost any credibility and you've changed what your actual claim is. Yeah. So I would just be cautious, I guess, about saying that, or implying that all ideas are somehow equal just because we can't know what's happening.
Well, I didn't mean to imply they were equal. I just meant to say that we have no absolute knowledge. So whenever you search for a belief, which we all do, we all wonder, we're all inquisitive by nature, so we're going to wonder what happens to us after we die. Definitely. Whichever one you embrace, make sure it serves you and society. And, I'm all with y'all on most of your criticisms and stuff, and I believe in non-aggression towards other people. But you have, belief isn't the only cause for aggression. You do have religious fanatics who will use their belief to justify aggression upon other people and try to impose their will and belief upon others. But you also have people that don't embrace any type of afterlife belief, essentially believe in nothing or atheism or something, and they'll cling to politics, and they'll have a fanatical political belief that asserts that they can impose their will upon other people in the name of their political belief, whether it's socialism or communism.
And then when you get the religious fanatics mixed with the political fanatics, then you really have a big can of worms.
Well, the other thing is I'm not quite sure where we're disagreeing. I mean, we may not be, because we just talked about the guy who went in and killed people in a Unitarian church, and it was because of his political beliefs, along with a couple other things. It's not believing that liberals are evil is not a necessary and sufficient cause to go in and kill them, but it was the motivating factor. That was his motive for going in and killing him. So yeah, you're right. I mean, whatever people beliefs inform your actions. That's what we talked about at the lecture this morning and earlier today. And it doesn't matter to me whether they're motivated by religion or politics. If you've got a belief that is harmful to yourself or somebody else, and it's not true, that's something you need to fix. And if you're not going to fix it, if it poses harm to others, somebody needs to step in and fix it. And that includes locking people up. I mean, we've locked people up because they're crazy and represent a danger to themselves and others.
Yeah, and I guess as long as the judicial system is based on a jury system and it's a reflection of the community, then I agree with all that, as long as it's not some heavy-handed police force or, somebody else's ideas that they're wanting to impose. But I agree, actually. I agree with a lot of what y'all say.